So at this point, we're done with the audio portion. We've recorded the material. Scott has edited it, and we've collaborated, and then I've approved it along with my father. Always got to please Daddy. And then we've gone into the technical side, the purely technical side that I really have very little to do with, of the number. What do you call it? The number.
Oh, just like, you know, laying out the tracks
okay.
on the CD.
And the mastering. And so now we have the material. He sent me the 4-disc. I've listened to it. I see how it plays. We've agreed on that. So we have the product.
Yeah, we've got the 4-CD product.
We have the prototype, the master disc. So then what do we do? Well, it turns out the next thing that we had to do was we had to do some legal things with licensing and copyright. We had to find someone to produce the actual product. Well, this was seeming very, very complicated and far beyond my experience or anything that I really wanted to experience.
Yeah.
And so I asked Scott if he would, at this point, move beyond his role as the
audio engineer.
As the audio engineer, a very creative one at that. And so to move beyond that role into the role of project manager and point person, which he very gladly did, and certainly was a very good one. So I was just about ready to go on my first trip to Africa, to Southern Africa, and we needed to do the licensing and the copyright. And we both decided at this point that although we both were generalists and very capable ones and had done a number of things in our life, that this was not something that we wanted to learn how to do.
You get into that thing of, okay, well, I feel comfortable in everything that I do, and in creating audio, music and audio. But the legal aspects of getting licensed for, you're recording someone else's music. What do we do? Question mark. So we had to find a person who could answer that question for us. What do we do from here? And I was a little bit at a loss too. I mean, I knew that you had to get licenses, and I didn't understand exactly what we really needed. And that's when, I forgot how we got to him, but I made a lot of phone calls and contacted a lot of my music friends, and we found this gentleman, Greg McNay, and he was, he was
perfection.
Well, he had that, okay, well, this is what you need, and, question answered,
Exactly.
I mean, I can't even think of a more flawless part of the project.
He was totally easy to work with. Again, this was at a distance, again, in Nashville. The entire project was produced in Nashville. I went on my trip. Scott and I agreed he should go find this guy, and we made all the arrangements for that before I left. And when I came back, okay, he's got the guy, and he's probably already started to work on it, which was just a wonderful homecoming. Some of the music was in the public domain, so there was no need to do a license on it, but most of it was still needing a license. So what we did was, first of all, I myself did and you too a little bit, did some just
groundwork,
basic research, some groundwork that we could then hand over to Greg and say, okay, we've got this much, but there's some stuff, oh gosh, we just can't find it. And so then from there he tracked down all of the publishers and the copyright holders, and just went to work, and he was so efficient and so cost effective. It was a wonderful joy to work with him as much as it had been to work with Scott on the other parts of the project.
And it took a real load off for me too, because there's nothing like something feeling like, oh, I can't do that, and finding that person, it's just a beautiful.
It took a burden off of both of our shoulders. Yeah. Then at the end, after we had done the licensing, and that was all paid for and and taken care of, then there was the matter of the copyrights. And so there was a copyright for the entire project that I wanted to apply for, and there was also, I wanted to, more for formal reasons, more as a gift to my father, I wanted to copyright my father's songs, just to have that on record in the Copyright Office, that yes, my father was indeed a composer, and I think a very good one. Yeah. It's just a very natural composer. The next important job I had asked Scott to do was to choose a production company to make the physical product. The physical product that was going to be sold at that point. And so that, as we said, there was 4 CDs in the package. So then we had to really think about what kind of packaging we would use. And Scott, again, was just very very clear thinker on this. So we chose our package in part because it's like in a DVD case, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we chose it because of the size of the DVD case that holds the CDs is approximately comparable to the actual book, the Sightlines, A Poet's Diary. So kind of like a box set, so to speak. So there would be Sightlines, A Poet's Diary, the book, next to on your shelf, Sightlines, A Family Love Story in Poetry and Music. So visually it looks very nice. We use the same kind of cover as on the book, although with a slightly different tint. Inside there's a pull-out brochure that has all of the tracks of all the songs and all the poems.
So you can navigate it too if you're like, oh, I'd like to hear this poem. You can open it up and easily find it, or easily find a song that you're looking forward to.
Exactly.
And there's so much material, it had to be in a book. That's what we found out. You know, we're originally thinking, well, we'll just put it in one-page inlay, and then we realized there's a lot of material in here, and it had to be a little book. Yeah.
So that acts as the table of contents. And then there were also some pictures of the old home place, and also my father on the steps of the Big Brown House with his original music group, and also his current music group, as well as the real family with all their instruments out in the lawn back in the late 1800s. So it's a very attractive booklet, and in the front of it too, of course, there's the preface and then the acknowledgement section, thanks to all the people who had really helped us make this book. So the way that we chose the production company was that Scott forged ahead and did the research.
Yeah, we'll start calling people. It's like, well, what kind of price can you get, and what can you do for us? As simple as that, you know.
Did you do a lot of that on the internet?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of narrowed it down to 2 companies. I also called some friends and said, okay, you know, who did you use for this and that different kinds of projects, and we ended up going with disc makers, and they were great. I mean, you know, we sent them a bunch of stuff, and you know, it's like, hey, we let them do the artwork as far as arranging it and doing the layout, and they did a great job. You know, and they sent us great proofs, and you know, they sent them to both of us, and we approved them. I think there were just a few little things
fairly easily.
You know, we changed, like italicized or
there were just some things when we proofread the copy that needed to be. It was fine adjustments. Yeah. Really, there wasn't anything major that we needed them to change. Yeah. So they also did a very good job. Now, here's the thing that's perhaps most interesting in this part of the process, is that I had gone into this whole project thinking, oh, it's just sort of like a little project that I want to do. I'm just going to like make maybe at most 200 audiobooks, and it's just kind of a thing for friends and family, and you know, maybe to sell a few of the really ardent fans of Sightlines, the kind of people that reread Sightlines 3 times a year. So that was my original thought, and then surprise, surprise, when we got to disc makers and started looking at the price points and the amount of product that you had to make to get the different price points, we discovered that, hey, you have to make as many as 1,000 to make it really really worthwhile. Really worthwhile. And cost effective. Yeah. The other factor with deciding how many to make is that we also discovered, and this was another one of these surprises, that if you were going to make 200 and then later decide to make 200 more, you would have to go through the entire licensing process once again.
Yes, you had to buy a license for a certain amount of production.
So there's a kind of algorithm for, rather extensive algorithm on the licensing cost for any particular song, or for so that they would decide, okay, it lasts 30 seconds, it appears once, or appears 5 times, it takes up this much time on your audiobook, and so therefore it costs as much to grant the license. So in the end, yes, I had 1,000. Woo! 1,000! Woo! 1,000! A whole lot of them. I had 1,000 of these CDs made. And so that was the right thing to do, but it was way beyond what I had originally intended.